What's up, everybody, and a very happy Monday. I hope everybody out there had a wonderful weekend. I know I did. And yeah, we got a lot to get to and a lot to talk about today. Donald Trump says he wants to give Vladimir Putin another 2 weeks to end this war in Ukraine. Caroline Levitt just had a disastrous press conference earlier this morning along with Tom Homan, so we will be getting to that here in just a few. And we have a lot to get to and a lot to go over, as I mentioned. A lot of MAGA Republicans across the country, again, are embarrassing themselves in defending Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, his approval rating is somewhere around 39%, which is the lowest, as I've read it, in 70 years. 70 years, the lowest approval ratings of any president, 100 days in office. So we will be talking about that here in a little bit. And, of course, more information that we've learned about this guy in Maryland who was sent to this prison in El Salvador, and the Supreme Court, of course, as you know, ruling 9-0. Also, the YouTube Super Chat is going, by the way. You could be listening on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, my personal YouTube page, which, of course, is at PTL Radio Show. The YouTube Super Chat, where your questions and comments will be heard. We're also all over the World Wide Web. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch, you name it. And, of course, the local FM AM dial, KSHP as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are everywhere. We appreciate you being a part of the program. And, yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are scheduled to have the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, is scheduled to be joining us here. In just a few minutes, we will be joined by him, so you're certainly not going to want to miss that. A lot to get to, as I mentioned, a lot to go over, and we are going to be reviewing Donald Trump himself, by the way, as well, who held a press conference over the weekend, and he's saying that the war in Ukraine is going to be over in 2 weeks, which I find somewhat interesting. And also, Donald Trump is giving us an update on China. Remember how he's been saying that President Xi picked up the phone and they spoke? And then China has been saying that they have not spoken to Donald Trump. Well, we're going to get to all that stuff. And I figured, what better person than to get to him directly? Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States. So nice of him to join us on this Monday. We know he's very, very busy. President Donald J. Trump joining us on the line. Mr. President, so nice of you to join us, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Or should I say buongiorno? Buongiorno. I learned that in Italy.
Mr. President, can I ask you about that? It looked like Macron did not shake your hand.
We had a great time, by the way. We had a great time, but we had great seats. It was tough to get good seats for the funeral, but I pulled some strings. Did you see Melania? She looked like an Italian woman with the veil and the black dress. She looked very authentically Italian. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You
That's okay.
Going to ask me about how incredible I look?
Well, why did you wear a blue suit? Everybody else was wearing a black suit, Mr. President. Why were you wearing a blue suit?
Because you don't get it. You don't get it, Brian.
Why
did I wear a blue suit? Because it got me the press. It got me the global press. Did you see that?
Yes,
Everyone's looking over here, and I'm doing deals over here with China and Argentina and all those places. You're looking over here. I'm doing things over here. You guys still don't get it.
It looked like Macron did not shake your hand, and he kind of snubbed you, Mr. President. What happened?
No. Excuse me. I pulled my hand away. If you look at that video closely, I pulled my hand into to point, and that's what happened.
All right, understandable. What was that conversation like with Vladimir Zelensky? You guys sat down and
I didn't understand the word. His accent is very thick. I just went, and I just kept thinking about all the money Putin's going to give me. So that was my main thing.
Mr. President, I have to ask you about your approval ratings. They're now dipped below 40%, the worst and arguably in American history. What do you have to say to that, Mr. President?
Well, as you know, you've known me a long time. I don't go by approval ratings. I've never been that guy. I don't care about that. We're doing big things. We're doing big things. I don't care. Look, gas is down. Groceries, a word no one was saying until I became president. They're down. Everything's down. Everyone's down, which is wonderful.
All right, if you say so. I mean, I saw the gas prices across the country are up since day one you took office, but
No. The gas prices are down.
I see.
Eggs are down. Bacon's down.
They are.
Cheese whiz is down.
Wow.
Crackers are down.
The Dow is down.
The
NASDAQ
Dow
is down.
The NASDAQ is down. But we're back. Listen, Ryan, this is what I say to all my friends. Charles Schwab, my good buddy, was in the White House the first day when everything went down. He made $2.9 billion. $2.9 billion. You got to have the money when the things hit the skid like this. Buy real estate. There's an old phrase. When there's blood on the streets, buy real estate. When the stock market is down, buy stock. Listen, you could probably afford Apple right now. Tim Apple told me to buy Apple.
Well, what happened to Elon Musk? I hear he's stepping down. Another one that's going down. He's stepping down. What's going on?
He's got a contract. There's a thing with the United States government. You can only be a special employee for a very limited amount of time. So I think he's going to try to save Tesla, which is a shame because it's a great company and the left-wing radicals are just ruining it. The people who bought his cars now don't want it. It's so sad.
If you're just joining us, he's the 45th and 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
President for life.
Did
you see that this past week?
Yeah, are you serious?
We're going 2028.
What's up with that 2028 hat, Mr. President? Are you really going to stay in office forever?
I'm going to stay in office forever. We're going to win this next election. We have a bill on the Senate floor that'll make it impossible for women to vote. Married women won't be able to vote. And that's a big portion of the country.
Mr. President, I think a lot of women would be offended by that. You're saying women shouldn't be allowed to vote?
Women are lazy. Women are lazy.
Are they
They
really?
just want their men to take care of them.
Wow.
Don't worry, it's going to go through, and I'll win again.
Wow. So you're serious about running again in 2020? I would imagine J.D.
Oh,
Vance.
absolutely. What else am I going to do? What else am I going to do?
Well,
I'm going to run.
That's true.
I'm doing a tremendous show. Have you seen the Oval Office since I've gotten in? We've got floor-to-ceiling paintings, and they're all gold. We have gold angels, little cherubs. They're called cherubs. No one talks about that. They're called cherubs.
What is up with the two American flagpoles that you're paying out of pocket in the front of the White House? Well, a lot of people.
100 feet tall. 100 feet tall. Because a lot of people don't know that's the White House and the President of the United States. So we're going to put a little flag on it.
A lot of people, there's speculation that you're going to be taking those poles out when you do leave, if at all, and bring them to Mar-a-Lago. Is there any truth to that, Mr. President?
Never leaving. I'm never leaving. And Don Jr. will step right in.
Oh, is that so? Don, you think Don Jr. would be the guy, not Eric Trump? You think it's Don Jr.?
Are you kidding me, Eric? Are you kidding me? He can't find his way out of a paper bag. No, it's going to be Don Jr. He's going to get married next summer at a White House wedding. Write this down: White House wedding next summer. Huge ratings. Then we'll go right into the midterms. We'll win because of this bill, and then when the time comes. Don Jr. will be the president.
I saw that you were traveling this morning with Saquon Barkley. Sometimes you travel with these NFL athletes, Mr. President. Can you tell me why you're doing that?
He needed a ride.
Is that what it is? He just needed a ride. Was he hitchhiking?
I just like saying his name, Saquon. It's a great name. It's a great. The black people love me. They absolutely love me.
Do they? Why did 80% vote against you then, Mr. President?
Well, those are stupid ones. They're the lazy ones. It's the smart ones.
Yeah, so 93.
Ben Carson, surgeon, very smart. Ben Carson, very smart.
Why isn't he in here? Why isn't he?
The other one? Stacey Dash.
Who's the other one?
Clueless. She voted for me.
Stacey Dash. Yeah, what happened to her? Why do you have so few black people in your administration, Mr. President?
Well, that's a great question. That's a really fantastic question because we've done so well with so many people. The Catholics, but the Catholic vote should have been much bigger. It should have been much bigger because what I've done for the Catholics is absolutely incredible. And the Pope, that's why we went to see him. We went to see the Pope because he was a good guy, hard worker, I prefer my religious leaders not wearing dresses. We're getting rid of trans popes, and I think I did very well on that.
Oh, Mr. President, what do you care if somebody's trans or not? Why does that bother you, Mr. President?
Because they go into the girls' locker room and they show their little tallywhackers to the ladies, and I think that's disgusting.
All right. Well, fair enough, Mr. President. Listen, I know you have a very busy week ahead of you.
Very busy. We're making deals, Brian. We are making deals. I've got countries begging me to make a deal. China keeps calling. I keep missing their calls, unfortunately, because I'm so busy. But I know one of these times, you shut your phone off, you don't get all your texts.
Right,
I think Xi's been trying to text me and work out a deal. I mean, listen, he's got to work out a deal. He's got to work out a deal.
You guys text each other?
Well, yeah, we text each other on Signal. It's great. I mean, his headset showed me that. What a great little system it is. But listen, I got the head of Walmart saying, sir, we have to make a deal with China because all the crap in our store is made in China. So we're going to have to work something out, unless you want to pay for wicker chairs at 10 times the usual cost.
Can I just ask, you say you still have faith in Pete Hegseth. Now there's new revelations that have been coming out with these Signal chats. When are you going to just say, all right, this guy's got to go, Mr. President?
Let me tell you something about Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth could take one of his 15 children and saw one in half on live television, and I will not fire him.
I really don't know what to say to that, Mr. President. I'm speechless. I hope he doesn't do that with a saw. Well, Mr. President.
I hope not either. That would be good.
That would be terrible, Mr. President. Well, Mr. President, before we let you go, I know you have a very busy week ahead of you.
So much busyness.
What would you like to say to the American people? A lot of Americans, with your approval rating down to 39%, there's a lot of Americans, maybe even some that have voted for you, that don't have a lot of faith in you, Mr. President. So what would you like to tell them before we let you go?
Well, I just want everyone to know the tariffs are working. We're bringing in billions of dollars. This is why the deficit is going down. This is why the economy is roaring back. And eventually, this will be like the 1870s, before we had income tax. I'm going to get rid of income taxes for rich people, and we're going to get to keep all of our money. And these wonderful, hardworking people, they're the ones who will pay the taxes.
All right. Well, Mr. President, very, very well said. There's a lot of people that are very worried, but very well said as always, Mr. President. If you could please put your friend John DiDomenico on the line, we'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hold on. Here's John. Hey, Brian.
John, you had me dying there when you said he could saw one of his children in half, and I would still support him.
What does this guy need to do to get fired? I thought Trump was the guy who liked to fire people.
Oh my God, so funny, but yet so true. And even back in the day, right, when he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still support me. So really,
support me.
That's what's so amazing, John. You're so funny and so good at what you do, but I could actually picture Donald Trump saying some of these things. That's what makes it so scary.
That's what I try to do. Keep it like some portion of it has to be in the reality of what's going on.
And that's why you're so good at what you do. Give out those socials, my man. You are the best Trump impersonator, one of the funniest comics out there. You are the best. Give out that information.
If everybody just looks up the Johnny D Show on any of the platforms, that's JOHNNYD. You'll find me, the Johnny D Show. You'll see Trump and some of the other characters, and you'll see my smiling face.
I love it. I love it. And I know you're still working on an Elon Musk for us eventually one of these days.
Still working on it.
Fair enough.
He'll be gone by the time I perfect it. So.
I think you're probably right about that. John, I love you, man. You are the best. Keep up the great work. We will catch up with you soon, John. I love you, pal. All right. See ya. That's John DiDomenico, everybody. You've heard him on the Howard Stern Show. Best Trump impersonator around, and he's so funny, and it's so great having John on the show. He really is the best. Now, it is a Monday, so I wanted to start the show off with some comedy. We have to laugh. Life is short, okay? We got to laugh a little bit, even though there's a lot of serious stuff going on, and we talk about a lot of serious topics on this show. So we have a lot to get to today. We will, of course, be taking phone calls, but we have a lot to talk about. And I want to start with something that is probably the dumbest and most ridiculous statement you will ever hear coming out of the White House and Caroline the Liar Levitt. Yes, that's right. A Fox News reporter asked her about Shadur Sanders and the NFL draft. And President Trump was making the case that the reason why he was drafted is because Donald Trump Truth Socialed something. I mean, it is so absurd and it is so ridiculous. I said, I have to play it for my listeners. Have a listen to this.
One more. After the president's Truth Social post, the Browns finally took Shadur Sanders. Does the president think he deserves credit for Sanders getting picked? And does he think going to the Browns is better than being undrafted?
Hey, I'm gonna. All I will say is the president put out a statement, and a few rounds later he was drafted. So I think the facts speak for themselves on that one, Peter. We'll go to the back row in the middle to the blonde.
Yeah, go to the blonde. Yeah, the facts speak for themselves. So let me get this right. An NFL team in the Cleveland Browns drafted this guy because Donald Trump put something on Truth Social. Yeah, that really makes a lot of sense. I mean, you want to talk about an embarrassment. And then Peter Doocy, as I like to call him Peter Douchey from Fox News, asked Caroline Leavitt about these written trade proposals. Now, as you've heard from people in the Trump administration, they said there would be 90 deals in 90 days. What day are we on now? There have been 0 deals. They also say that, or Trump has said that 100 countries and leaders of these countries have kissed his ass and they all want a deal. Yet he hasn't named one country and he hasn't named one name because it's a lie. So Caroline Leavitt, to an extent, is asked that same question about these supposed written trade proposals. No deals yet made. And listen to the question and listen to the way she answers it.
You guys have at least 18 written trade proposals. We still don't know who they are from or what they contain. What is the holdup with that?
There's no holdup. We're working around the clock. The trade team is working all day. I was on the phone late last night with Secretary Lutnick. I was on the phone this weekend as well with Secretary Bessent. I mean, the entire team is working 24/7 to get these trade deals done. And I think you'll be hearing more about them this week. I don't want to get ahead of the trade team or the president in announcing potential deals, but certainly I can assure the American public that this administration is full speed ahead in cutting good and fair trade deals on behalf of the American worker.
Well, if that's the case, then where are they? Navarro said there would be 90 deals in 90 days. We're a couple weeks into this thing, more than a couple weeks. No deals have been made. So you're not getting ahead of yourself. It was people in the administration that were saying 90 deals in 90 days, including Donald Trump, by the way. There hasn't been one deal made. So if you really are working around the clock, can you name us one deal that's been put in place? Oh, wait, there isn't any. You lying scumbag, you and the entire administration. You are liars. You are an embarrassment to the country. Everything about you is a lie. And you imbecile, you put that cross on your neck and you hide behind your fake Christianity and you lie for the president every single day. You are despicable, Caroline Leavitt, and so many that work with you and underneath you. Donald Trump did a little media scrum over the weekend. And he was asked about the war in Ukraine. Now, as you know, sadly, more innocent people were murdered, more airstrikes, and at the authority of Vladimir Putin, who does not want peace. Innocent women, innocent children, soldiers on both sides dying every day. Why? Because Vladimir Putin does not want peace. And Vladimir Zelensky does. He was ready to sign on the dotted line a month ago in a ceasefire deal. And then Donald Trump says, stop it. When innocent children and women are murdered, Donald Trump's response is, stop it, Vladdy. Stop it. So Donald Trump was asked about that because over the course of the last week, he keeps using this 2 weeks. 2 weeks, there's going to be a ceasefire. 2 weeks, we're going to put an end to this war. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Just like in 2 weeks, you're going to get a replacement plan for Obamacare. How did that work out? So he was asked about it. 2 weeks. Are you going to give us a date?
About President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us, what is the actual date? What is the timeline?
2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more at the time, I say, but, you know, they're losing a lot of people.
Yeah, they're losing a lot of people. 2 weeks, could be before, could be after 2 weeks. Whatever happened, we're going to end the war in 24 hours. Oh, I was just joking about that. What about injecting yourself with disinfectant? Oh, I was just joking about that. I was being sarcastic. Well, guess what? There's a lot of idiots in this country that voted for you because they actually thought that you could just pick up the phone and call Vladimir Putin and end the war in 24 hours. And those morons are your base. But you weren't joking. You weren't being sarcastic. You weren't being serious. You were lying. You were saying that knowing that there'd be a bunch of fools that would vote for you because you claimed you were going to end the war in 24 hours. How's that working out? And now it's 2 weeks. We're 3 months into your administration. The war is still going on. We are no closer to a deal. And now you're saying, well, 2 weeks could be a little before that, could be a little after that. How anybody could believe any word that this guy says is an imbecile. And then Donald Trump was asked about an update on China. Now, he's been saying that he spoke to President Xi. Then he's been saying, I don't want to respond to that, but we've spoken a lot. President Xi and the government have said, no, nobody there has spoken to Donald Trump. So who's lying? Now, I don't want to trust Donald Trump because, all the guy does is lie. I wouldn't want to trust President Xi either, but I got to be honest with you. I kind of believe President Xi in this situation. I don't think President Xi wants to talk to Donald Trump. I don't think they're talking about negotiating anything. They are pissed off in China. They are hurting American consumers here. And Donald Trump continues to lie. And he is eventually probably going to cave. But you say he doesn't want to admit that. And he was asked on an update on China. This is what he had to say.
China, because China's getting a little bit. Look, a little bit. They want to make a deal, obviously. Right now, they're not doing business with us. People talk about going cold turkey with China, meaning just forget about it. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year with China, and now they're not doing any business with us, because, not because of them, because of me. Because at 145%, you can't do business. But something's going to happen that's going to be positive.
Something's going to happen that's going to be positive. That's his entire administration in the first 3 months. Just wait. Something positive is going to happen. Well, I guess everything's okay then because the president said something positive is going to happen. You have the president of China who's not willing to talk to you. The American consumers are suffering. You have the leaders of whether it be Walmart or Target that are pleading with you to stop these tariffs because they're not going to have anything on the shelves. Eventually, the coward is going to cave, but he will never admit that he made a mistake. President Xi does not want to talk to him. I guarantee you they have not spoken. And if they really want a deal put in place, then why won't they reach out to you? They won't. You are the one that is going to cave because you are an imbecile and you had no idea the damage that these tariffs would do on this country. You had no idea. Well, guess what? Donald Trump has the lowest approval numbers in modern-day American history. They have dipped now below 40% in every poll, including a Fox News poll. He is at 39%, and we are just 100 days in his administration. Joe Biden was in the mid-50s. Barack Obama and George W. Bush were in the mid-60s at this time. Donald Trump has dipped under 40% at 39%. And I want you to listen to how CNN and Dana Bash is handling this when it comes to how much American people trust the president when it comes to immigration, which we will get to, when it comes to the border, when it comes to the economy. Have a listen to this.
And I do want to start with the economic numbers that we're seeing in our new poll out this morning. They're pretty brutal. 64% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of inflation. 65% disapprove of his handling of tariffs. 61% disapprove of his overall handling of the economy. On immigration, a majority of Americans, 53%, disapprove as well.
Those are damning numbers. Now, it is interesting, right? Because a lot of these MAGA idiots will call this a mandate. Well, I think these polls are a mandate that most Americans are very unhappy with the job that Donald Trump is doing. And he's ruining our economy. He's ruining the country, pissing off all of our allies. The war in Ukraine is still going on. The Israel-Palestinian conflict is stronger than it has ever been. And some Americans maybe are starting to see the light and are saying, maybe this guy wasn't telling us the truth when he was talking about no tax on tips or a tax credit on buying cars, or the fact that he was going to lower the prices when it comes to groceries, lowering gas prices, or he was going to put more money in your 401k. The stock market was going to thrive. Your businesses were going to thrive. Well, we all know that all that stuff across the board is not happening. But it's okay because Donald Trump says there's going to be some positives coming up. Yeah, okay, when? When you leave office, maybe. That might be the only positive, when you get the hell out of the White House. And then you have idiots like Carrie Lake. And by the way, Carrie Lake is dumber than a doornail. It'd be quite the test to see Carrie Lake do an IQ test with Caroline Leavitt. But I want you to listen to what Carrie Lake said on Fox over the weekend, because she was asked about Doge, and I want you to listen to what she would sacrifice, because she is such a patriot when it comes to Doge, and the fact that she would maybe be okay with losing her job. I don't even know what her job is right now, by the way, but have a listen to this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the president has brought in some really good fighters to D.C., people who don't want to become permanent creatures. I'm just as happy to doge myself out of a job and go on and help President Trump in another way. But he's brought in people who want to get the job done, and these judges are trying to stop us from getting the job done. In the end, we will prevail. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it's unfortunate that these judges don't care more about America and the will of the people.
I'm willing and happy to doge myself out of a job. First of all, what job does she have besides wearing the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7 and a failed politician? Can anybody tell me what she does for a living right now? Instead of making these Fox News appearances constantly and again wearing the Trump knee pads, what the hell does Kari Lake do for a living? She used to be in the news business, and then she tried and failed as a political candidate, and she's an election denier. What the hell does she do? And think about how complicit she is and what an imbecile she is, just a despicable human being, in the fact that she knows that there are so many people that have lost their jobs around the country. They don't have the luxury to be able to pick up the phone to call Orange Orangutan for a job. They're farmers. They're people that own small businesses, people that have lost everything. And she says, I'm happy to doge myself out of a job. What about the veterans and the people that have served this country that have lost their jobs, that have worked for the government? I'm happy to doge myself out of a job and help President Trump in another way. Well, yeah, just continue to wear the Donald Trump knee pads, Kari Lake, and wipe your mouth, because that's what you do 24/7. You do nothing for America. You do nothing for the American worker. You hurt Americans by giving them less confidence in our elections. You're an election denier. You're a liar, and you're scum of the earth. That's what you are, Kari Lake. And then there's Senator Kennedy. And listen, Senator Kennedy, another guy, another MAGA moron that is dumb as a doornail. I call him Forrest Gump II. And that's probably an insult to Forrest Gump. But Kennedy was asked about how the president has defied all these court orders and how the president has defied the Supreme Court 9-0 decision in bringing Mr. Garcia back to the United States of America. It's amazing to me to listen to these MAGA Republicans curl themselves up in a pretzel when they call themselves constitutionalists, and listen to Senator Kennedy try to do that over the weekend.
You've said that you will call out President Trump loudly if you think he is not following federal courts and the orders that they have. The Supreme Court has made some statements about what the administration should be doing with respect to getting Kilmer Obrego Garcia back from El Salvador. They've admitted that was a mistake. You've talked about them making a mistake with that, too. But federal judge Paula Zinnes does not think this administration is complying with that order. Here's a little bit of her order from April 22nd coming down on the Trump administration, saying there's been a continued mischaracterization of the Supreme Court's order. She's used the word specious. She said there's been willful and intentional non-compliance. Now, the president's legal team sees that order to facilitate and effectuate his return differently, clearly, than Paula Zinnes, the judge, sees that. What do you think the Supreme Court meant, and do you think the administration's in compliance?
I don't think President Trump has defied any federal orders. I don't know what these judges expect the federal government to do. Bukele has said he's not returning Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia is not coming back to the United States, ever. I don't think the federal courts can direct the executive branch to go in and try to take Mr. Garcia by force.
I don't think President Trump has defied any federal orders at all, even though the Supreme Court has ruled 9-0 to bring Mr. Garcia back. I don't think he's defied any orders because I'm a MAGA imbecile who also wears the Donald Trump knee pads. No, let me set the record straight for this idiot Kennedy, okay? There's a lot of Kennedys that are idiots these days, okay? Senator Kennedy being one of them. Now, Trump was ordered by the Supreme Court to facilitate Garcia's return to the United States. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. By the way, very conservative court. Trump told Time magazine last week that he has not even asked Bukele to return Garcia to the U.S. That is what we call defying a Supreme Court order. The court order remains valid until it gets executed, period. That's how court orders work in this country. What Senator Kennedy is clearly suggesting here is that Garcia is going to be in prison for life in El Salvador with no crime that he has ever committed and without ever getting to see a judge. How can anybody in this country be okay with that? Period. How? How could anybody be okay with that? Senator Kennedy is an imbecile. And if Joe Biden, or any Democrat for that matter, didn't give anybody due process, Republicans would be extremely angry, except for maybe the Republicans that don't want brown people in this country, which, by the way, appears to be most. It's disgusting and it's despicable. So Marco Rubio made the rounds over the weekend as well. Did an interview with Welker over the weekend. And Marco Rubio was asked, does the U.S. still want to make Canada the 51st state? Which is obviously in most situations not a serious question to ask. And any reasonable person that doesn't wear the MAGA Trump knee pads would say, no, that's not serious. That's not going to happen. But not Marco Rubio, because he has sold his soul and he has absolutely no backbone at all. Have a listen to the way he tried to answer Welker's question. Listen to this.
Have you taken any steps to carry out President Trump's plans, as he has said he would like to annex Canada? Have you taken any steps in that direction?
No, I think what the president has said, and he has said this repeatedly, is he was told by the previous prime minister that Canada could not survive without unfair trade with the United States. At which point he asked, well, if you can't survive as a nation without treating us unfairly in trade, then you should become a state. That's what he said. They'll have their elections this week. They're going to have a new leader, and we'll deal with a new leadership of Canada. There are many things we work with cooperatively on Canada on, but we actually don't like the way they've treated us when it comes to trade. And the president has made that point when he responded to the previous prime minister in regards to this.
So does the U.S. still want to make Canada the 51st state?
I think the president has stated repeatedly he thinks Canada would be better off as a state. And he has said that based on what he was told by the previous prime minister, who said Canada can't survive unless it treats the U.S. unfairly in trade.
Right.
Absolutely and positively ridiculous and embarrassing. There is no way that Marco Rubio feels that way. Again, he's trying to cover for Donald Trump, the orange orangutan. These people in his administration, they've sold their soul to the devil, man. They really have. And here's the point in the interview where Rubio starts talking about Russia, and he makes a statement that I think everybody has known for a very long time. But now Marco Rubio finally concedes something about Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Listen to this.
Who now says he wants to deal with President Putin, quote, differently through banking or secondary sanctions. Will President Trump follow through with imposing new sanctions against Russia?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to, the president, we have multiple options, frankly, to address this and to deal with all of this, but we don't want to get to that point. This is still not the time. I think what the president is saying and has been saying for some time now is he is aware that he has these options. People ask him about it all the time, but what he really wants is a peace deal. He wants the dying and the killing to stop.
Yeah, well, we're pretty much aware that he doesn't want to impose new sanctions on Russia because Russia isn't giving any concessions to us, not giving any concessions to Ukraine. And when Donald Trump one day says Vladimir Putin wants peace, the next day there's an airstrike where innocent women and children die. What a joke you are, Marco Rubio. You are an embarrassment to the country. Oh, yeah. And then comes Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, who is another complete imbecile, another MAGA moron who never should have been appointed to her position. And weeks after the administration promised 90 trade deals in 90 days, absolutely none have happened yet. And listen to Brooke Rollins and what she says about that.
On the trade and on the deals. Yes, for sure. On the deals, we have 100 countries that are knocking on the door. I believe, I'm not in the room, I'm not negotiating the trade deals, but my understanding is we should have several this week that are coming forward that are very, very close. China is a very important one. Every day we are in conversation with China, along with those other 9,900 countries that have come to the table. Many countries have already flown to Washington and are meeting with Secretary Lutnick, meeting with Secretary Bessent, meeting with our USTR, Jameson Greer, and there is a tremendous amount of progress on all fronts that we'll see again more this week.
Really, 100 countries are knocking on the door. Can you name one? Why is no deal put in place? Not one deal has been put in place. Donald Trump said these countries are kissing his ass, hasn't named one world leader, hasn't named one country. But you see, what she's doing is she's spewing the talking points that Caroline the vet and the communications staff are telling her to say. There hasn't been one deal that has been put in place. You guys promised 90 deals in 90 days. There hasn't been one. It's been over 2 weeks, you imbeciles. And Secretary Rollins lied live on CNN over the weekend as well, because, as you know, and I'll give you a little bit of background on this, in the last month, or the last several weeks anyway, Donald Trump has lied and has been constantly saying that he has been in talks with President Xi. And then China said that's not true, that's a lie. President Xi has not spoken to Donald Trump. And then when Trump got that, he was asked about it again, and he said, I really don't want to talk about this, but we've spoken a lot. So what's the truth? Well, Brooke Rollins lying on CNN about communications with China, even though China said they haven't had any communications with the United States on any deal being made. Certainly not the president of the United States. Have a listen to this.
You said that there are talks with China every day. Who are the talks with and at what level? Because the Chinese are saying that's not true.
Well, according to our team in Washington, the conversations are ongoing regarding multiples of trade, but here, multiples of the trade goods that are coming out and going in. But the bottom line with China is this: they need us more than we need them. They need our money. They need our markets, they need our consumers, and all of the above. So the president has been, I believe, exactly correct. I mean, he is the ultimate deal maker. You know, it's a time where we've got to hold China accountable. And in agriculture, year upon year, decade upon decade, our goods have been taken advantage of. The trade disparity, the non-trade tariffs on top of the tariff numbers are insane, whether it's Argentina or China or Brazil or the UK.
Would you like me to interpret exactly what she said there? According to my staff in the communications department, meaning the communications department is lying and giving me talking points to say on the air. That's exactly what's going on here. Listen, Brooke Rollins is another imbecile who should have never been appointed to that position. She has absolutely no idea what she's doing, and she's getting talking points from Caroline the liar Levette. That's exactly what's going on here. There's no evidence, no proof that China has been speaking to Donald Trump or anybody in the government for that matter. There have been 0 deals that have been made. The art of the deal, there have been no deals that have been made, and I guarantee you eventually Donald Trump is going to cave because there is no art of the deal, okay? There is no art of the deal. It's the art of lying. It's the art of manipulating people. It's the art of a snake oil salesman. And Marco Rubio said it best when he said if Donald Trump didn't get a $500 million company from his dad, he'd be selling fake gold watches in Manhattan. That's exactly who Donald Trump is. But he's still doing that to an extent. He's selling the Trump Bibles made for $3 in China for $60 in the United States of America. He's selling the trading cards. He's selling pieces of his suit. When he took his mugshot. I mean, this is exactly who this guy is, the gold sneakers. He's a swindler. He's a snake. He's a snake oil salesman is exactly what he is. And you're getting lying and talking points from the White House, even to people like Brooke Rollins. And it's an embarrassment. Speaking of embarrassment, SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, somebody else in Donald Trump's administration that has no business in being there. That's a complete MAGA imbecile. She's making the claim, and this is like well over the top, right? She's making the claim that these tariffs are helping small businesses. Folks, there are small businesses across the country that are losing their livelihoods. Many employees are losing their jobs, and small businesses have gone belly up. I've had people call into the show talking to me about that, even Republicans. But that's right, the SBA administrator who has no business in being there, Kelly Loeffler, is making the case on national television over the weekend that these tariffs are actually helping small businesses. They curl themselves into a pretzel, another talking point from the White House. Have a listen to this.
Already. But what I'm hearing from small businesses is they want that level playing field. They know that this is a short-term situation that is going to be replaced by a much brighter long-term, whether I've been in small businesses that are hardware stores or small manufacturers, they are excited about Made in America. They understand the emergency we were under because we no longer made our own chips, our defense products, medical devices, things like that that are life or death that we need to make sure we're investing in all of that. And that's what's happening right here in New York and across this country. Yeah. And what I'm excited to see is the energy behind it. We're working to bring the skilled workforce to bear because there's so many needs in manufacturing. Manufacturing has really become an extension of technology. We need more of that in this country. And it's really exciting.
Is there any reasonable person in this country with an IQ over 20 that would believe that these tariffs are helping small business? Is there anybody in this country that believes that sort of nonsense? Really, anybody? If so, give me a call, because we're going to take phone calls on the other side. And why these tariffs would help small business. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. But there's a lot that we've been talking about today, and I am going to open up the phone lines. We're going to take a quick break, and here's what we're talking about. The number to call, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. So you have the White House again that spoke time and time again that there'd be 90 deals in 90 days. 0 deals have been made with any countries in regards to these tariffs. You have the president lying about interaction with China and President Xi. And he's saying, well, there's going to be a peace deal in Ukraine in 2 weeks, when he said before he ever became president, he would pick up the phone and he could end this war in 24 hours. And you have all these members in Trump's administration that are just embarrassing themselves on national television every single day. They curl themselves into their MAGA pretzel wearing the Donald Trump knee pads, and they embarrass themselves, and they lie. And that is why Donald Trump's approval rating has now dipped under 40%. It's 39%, the lowest approval rating in over 7 decades for any president that's been in office for 100 days. There's a reason for that, because there's a lot of people in this country that are struggling. They're losing their jobs. They're losing their 401ks. The stock market, the Dow has plummeted. Inflation has not gone way down. Gas prices have not gone way down. And the American people are suffering because of it. While the top 1% continue to get their biggest tax breaks that they've received in quite some time, you're not receiving no tax on tips. None of the promises that Donald Trump's put together, except for pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers. So we'll take your calls on the other side of the break. This portion of the program is brought to you by Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Not only are they home of the $20 ribeye steak, you won't find a better deal than that. They haven't raised the price in over 8 years. But also, they're giving you a tariff refund. What do I mean by that? Well, if you hit a taxable jackpot this month, you will get 10% of whatever you won back in free slot play. Right? That's right. Call it a Tariff April refund. That's what they're doing at Jackson's Bar and Grill. So check them out at Flamingo and Jones and tell them I sent you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, your phone calls at 702-221-7283, the most interactive show in the Valley, and we will also go to the YouTube Super Chat when we come back and take your phone calls. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. We got some great guests lined up for you later on in the week. Ed Krasenstein is going to be joining us this week. JoJo from Jers, Joanna Carducci is going to be joining us this week. I have been talking to George Santos, so hopefully we can get him on. He was just sentenced to 7 years behind bars. Will he be getting a pardon from Donald Trump? I'm not so sure. Thank you, Roxy, for your super chat donation. Just because I love Johnny D. Yes, Roxy, John DiDomenico is one of the best in the business. If you just missed it, he is world's best Trump impersonator from the Howard Stern show. And we had him earlier on, and he is fantastic. Chibi, thank you. As a child, you have imaginary friends. As an adult, you have imaginary enemies. Yes, I tend to agree with you on that one, Chibi. Thank you so much for your donation. Your questions and comments will be heard in the YouTube super chat, and we appreciate you calling in. All right, the lines are full right now, as they always are. We're working on trying to get some more phone lines. We have 6 right now. By the way, this show started with, 3? Now we're at 6. We're going to try to maybe get to 9. I've been working on that, and we will try to do that. But in the meantime, when we hang up on somebody, or sometimes I hang up on a MAGA, that's the best time to call in because you know we have a phone line open. All right, here we go. The most interactive show. There's a reason for that. 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Jason. Jason is first up on PTL. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, Brian. How we doing? I hope you had a good weekend.
I did. Thank you. Thanks for calling in, sir. What's on your mind?
Well, you said small businesses. My wife, she started one back at the end of 2021. And this morning, I could tell a little something was up. She comes in from the kids getting on the bus, and she just broke down. I was like, what's going on? And, yeah, she went to place her order last night. She does custom tumblers. $80 order, Brian. She gets to the checkout.
Yeah.
Import cost, $189 total after an $80 order.
Oh, my God.
$189. Yeah.
Oh,
so
my God.
She's like, what are we going to do? They're getting you at the import fee is what they're calling it.
What?
Everything's smooth when you order it.
Where do you live, sir?
Import fee.
Jason, if you don't
Ohio.
mind. So you're
in Ohio.
So you're okay. Got you. And what does your wife say to you when that happens? Like, is she shocked? What does she say?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a disabled veteran. I just went and bought a new truck.
Service.
Ford is offering tariff pricing, because of these pre-tariff conditions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I literally just bought it, and then now, she's in this boat. People are not going to pay this kind of money for her to be able to make any kind of profit. I mean,
how is this hurting
her tail off.
I feel for you, my friend, and your wife, and I'm sorry you guys are going through this. We all are. I want to ask you this because this is important. Can you explain to people out there how this not only affects you personally, but the fact that maybe you won't go out to the movies or buy stuff or go out to eat? Can you explain to the American people how this affects everybody, not just you?
Folks, I mean, you're not going to be able to afford things. I mean, if it's just something little like this, what are you going to, and they're already saying the shelves are going to be empty because look at these CEOs that's coming. And it's not only that, we got a daughter with a medical condition, 11 years old. Her insurance, her medical issues, $1,600 a month, and it has gone up. Now, I'm not saying I don't know why, but now we're being charged. She gets, because my VA disability, we get Champ VA. It doesn't cover children's in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, she's got a medical device into her that has went out twice on her emergency surgery. And now here we're, scared to death that it could go out again. Is something going to be, are we going to have to pay out of pocket for this?
Well, Jason, what bothers me more than anything else, I mean, I wouldn't wish this upon any American, but especially a family and somebody like you who served this country honorably, who's disabled. You paid a huge sacrifice, and you shouldn't have to be going through this. We should be taking care of people like you, and it sounds like you have a lovely family. And I'm so sorry. All we can continue to do is hope that Trump will eventually cave because he's a coward. But I don't really, if they don't really understand, and by the way, I don't believe they don't understand the damage they're doing to people like you. I just don't think they care. They don't care. That's the thing. Right, exactly. And
I put a TikTok video together, Brian. Thanks guys. My daughter, they laughed at me. It brought me to tears. Like, how are these people this low down to make fun of? But she was 10 at the time. I said to make fun of my little girl, like it's her fault. Just because you can tell the libs won, go kiss my ass, you people. Just they're sickos.
They are. I'm so sorry what you're going through, my friend. You're a hero. Thank you for your service. In regards to you and your
Thank you.
family, you always have a platform on this show, my friend, and we're going to get through this together.
Absolutely.
We're going to get through it
All right.
together. Thank you, sir. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. If that doesn't hit home to some of you people, then I don't know what does. By the way, we're going to be talking more about this later on in the week, but Vegas is suffering. I know that from firsthand knowledge of people that I know. Bellman, people that work in MGM properties. In most of the MGM properties in Las Vegas, and I don't know how many they own. I think it's like over 10. I could be wrong. It's somewhere around there. In most of them, they've laid off bellmen. They've laid off people at the front desk. They've laid off a bunch of dealers. They've laid off all sorts of housekeeping. You name it. Tons of layoffs. I'm talking thousands of layoffs. Why? Donald Trump America, Donald Trump tariffs. But you see, if you got a hangnail under the Joe Biden administration, they blamed you for that, didn't they? They blamed Joe Biden for everything. But you look at America today and everyone out there that is struggling, except maybe if you're in the top 1%, Vegas is a ghost town right now, and we are suffering, just like all of you are suffering, because of these tariffs. And I'm going to go more into detail later on in the week on simply what is going on in Las Vegas in some of these casinos. 702-221-7283. Jade is next on PTL. Hello, Jade.
Hey, Jade. Hey, Brian. How was your weekend?
Hey, good, Jade. Doing good. What's on your mind today?
There's been a lot that's been happening over the weekend, especially with today, and with what happened during the funeral with the Pope. I'm just livid with how Felon 47 acted, especially with his behavior.
Yeah.
Especially with all the names said, people were calling Biden, and with how he was acting during the funeral. He was wearing blue. Everybody else was wearing black, and they have the audacity to outright call Biden a bunch of names.
He was also falling asleep.
Look how your president is acting.
Mm-hmm.
Is this how you would call your president a great leader?
They called Joe Biden Sleepy Joe, yet there are videos of Donald Trump that was literally falling asleep at a funeral. There's literally videos of him falling asleep. And, Macron didn't even shake his hand. I don't know if you saw that. He completely snubbed Donald Trump. And Zelensky got a round of applause, by the way. And Macron didn't even want to shake his hand. And Trump puts out his hand, and Zelensky, didn't even want to.
That was
Macron.
That was chef's kiss.
Yeah, and they had a little Zelensky-Trump conversation. And Zelensky gave it to him, because Putin is the one that continues these airstrikes, and innocent women and children are being murdered in Ukraine, while Donald Trump says Ukraine started it and Zelensky's a dictator. And now Trump is starting to soften up a little bit on his relationship with Zelensky. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin is laughing at Donald Trump. When Donald Trump goes on Truth Social and says, "Stop it," it's like a mother telling a child to stop acting up, to stop it, when Vladimir Putin is literally murdering people. And that's Donald Trump's master plan all along. Stop it, Vladdy. I mean, it's embarrassing.
That doesn't even work. Not to mention of deporting innocent children that don't even know what due process is. It's just deplorable.
There's a 4-year-old that was in this country that is a U.S. citizen that was deported that has cancer. And the White House is making the claim, well, the parents have chosen to do this. There's no evidence to prove that. They haven't shown any evidence. Should we just believe Tom Homan?
You're basically going through everything that's happened in Nazi Germany, and yet people are too blind to see that.
Yeah, well, you're right.
And we're even going through everything even with what's happening with women's rights, we're living through everything that's happening in The Handmaid's Tales, but people don't even see that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, my dear. Good call. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's see here. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hey, Mark, what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you, Brian. Trump wears a blue suit at the funeral, and not a word. And Obama wears a tan suit, and all the Republicans screamed and carried on, right?
That's true.
The president of El Salvador comes in with a black shirt and a tie. Everyone's cool with that. But Zelensky comes in dressed in black during wartime, and they're all making fun of him and joking about him not having a suit with a tie. The hypocrisy is indescribable. Now, the other thing about polls, Brian, don't get caught up in it. You saw how the polls worked for Harris. She was winning every single poll. And how did the election work out? I don't believe these polls 1 second.
Well,
None of them.
here's why I disagree with you a little bit. Okay, so you're right. There were times where Harris was winning, but it was very marginal. Okay, and then towards November, when we headed to the elections, Donald Trump was winning some of these polls, and it looked like it was going to be a very close election. And guess what? It was. Now I understand Kamala lost, but it was a very close election. We all know that Trump won by about 1.4% of the popular vote, and he only won by about 300,000 votes in all the swing states. So
one more thing, Brian.
Okay, but hold on. Let me just tell you why I disagree with you. It'd be one thing if the poll numbers weren't very good. Then I would say, okay, Mark, maybe you're right. But let's be clear here. At the 90-day mark, these were the worst poll numbers in American presidential history. That's number one. Number two, at the 100-day mark, these are the lowest poll numbers in over 70 years. So these aren't just bad poll numbers. They're some of the worst we've ever seen. So while I understand what you're saying to be a little bit skeptical of poll numbers, I am looking at these poll numbers and I am saying that most of America is fed up with Donald Trump, and I truly believe that.
Okay, where he should be right now for everything he's doing, his poll numbers should be in the teens.
Well, I understand that. I don't
There's one thing I want to mention. Okay, you notice that Trump is now selling his China hats that say "Make America Great Again."
Yeah.
40. What is it? 48 now on the side.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't say 45, 47, 48. That's because if Trump does not figure out a way, or the courts actually stop him from running a third term, do you know who they're actually grooming to become a candidate for president? I heard this on 2 other podcasts.
Who's that?
Don Jr. You have not seen him around at all. They are grooming this guy.
Well, that could be.
What I tell you.
That could be possible. I can't think of somebody that would be worse than Donald Trump, but the person that comes to mind is Don Jr. I call Donald Trump's kids Uday and Kusei. That's how stupid they are and despicable they are. Oh my goodness gracious! You could be right on that one. Okay, number to call is 702-221-SAVE. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. It is interesting that some of these MAGAs who speak in the chat are cowards and they're too afraid to call into a radio show and have a real debate with somebody. So many of them are keyboard warriors, but I deal with this on a regular, everyday basis. Let's go to Linda. I believe Linda is next on PTL. Hey, Linda, what's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I'm just calling because I wanted to know if you saw the exchange between Jasmine Crockett and John Roberts.
When did this happen?
Last week.
I don't believe so.
6 days ago. Oh, my God, you have to watch it, Brian. It was phenomenal. I tell you, if we had Jasmine Crockett in this world, a lot of them, we wouldn't be in this mess. I have the utmost respect for that woman. She put him in his place, and she did it so articulately.
Yeah.
And she was, I tell you, it gave me hope. That gave me hope. You have to see that video. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, please send it to me. And, I read all emails from all of my listeners. I don't always have the time to get back to somebody immediately, but I certainly read all of my emails, and I appreciate all of you. So please send that over to me, and I'll definitely have a look at it. I'd like Jasmine Crockett.
You have to.
Jasmine did this show last month. We will certainly get her on the show again. She's certainly not perfect. She has made some mistakes, but I do like her fire. I like her energy. I like the fact that she's willing to, speak truth to power. We certainly need more people like her. And, I've said that a lot on this show. I really like her a lot.
Oh, she's smart. And, like I said, she did not raise her voice. She just landed that plane, and, boy, she nailed it. It was beautiful. I'm going to send it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Her on.
I promise
you
you
have
I
a
will.
great day, Brian.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate that. And I will definitely check my email and wait for that email. Thank you, my dear. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's up?
Hi, how you doing, Brian?
Good.
I just think that everything you say is the truth, but you're sending the wrong message. We need to secure the elections. I don't believe Donald Trump won the last election.
Well, Steve,
and in the midterms, he's going to fix the election again.
Well, Steve, here's my problem with that, okay? And I hate to compare this to 2020 and MAGA Republicans, because I certainly don't want to compare you to a bunch of January 6th insurrectionist idiots. I'm not doing that. But I will say this. The reason why I don't speak to that, and I don't agree with you, is because there has to be widespread voter fraud that could have been proven in a court of law to change the outcome of the election. And I can guarantee you, if the Democrats had that proof, they would have presented it in a courtroom. Kamala Harris immediately conceded. We might not like the result. Clearly, we don't. But we can't sit here and think that it's going to be overturned, okay? The electorates were already counted. You can make the case that you thought there were some shenanigans going on, but, it has to be proven in a court of law. And nobody that I've seen to this day has shown any evidence that would be able to be presented in a court of law that the election was stolen. So that's why I don't really like entertaining that, because there's no actual evidence to prove it.
Yeah, but I know proving that they cheated is not going to change the outcome, but it will make us better for the midterm.
Okay, so let me ask you, how do you think they cheated?
Well, in all this, there's no way he won 7 swing states. There's no way. And then there's this thing called the Truth Alliance, voters, truth, or I forget what it's called. But after 250,000 votes, the votes stacked in Donald Trump's favor. And there's no way he won all 7 swing states. That's impossible. He couldn't have won North Carolina because they voted all Democrat. He couldn't have won Pennsylvania because it was all Democrat. And I don't think he won Wisconsin.
Well,
I mean, it would be easy to change the votes.
So then there would have to be, so then there would have to be some evidence to prove that. You would have to show how they cheated. You would have to have evidence to prove it. Here's the problem. Even if that was true, and I'm not so sure it is because I haven't seen any evidence, but let's just say for argument's sake, it's correct. Donald Trump is going to be the president for the next 3.5 years, no matter what we might feel, no matter what we might think. This is my advice to you, and you could tell me if you disagree. My advice is let's put that effort into the midterms. Let's make sure that these MAGA Republicans are voted out. Let's make sure that the Democrats have a good midterm election by spreading the message and working hard. I think we're better off putting our energy towards that than, we think the election was stolen. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I respectfully disagree, because if we don't, we can go back and do a count on the votes and prove that he did cheat.
In order for there to be a recount, there has to be evidence.
They're not going to remove him, but at least we know that the midterms will be great.
In order for there to be a recount, there has to be sufficient evidence that there were shenanigans going on, and has to be presented to a judge, and then they can decide to do a recount. There hasn't been anybody on the left or anybody that is anti-Donald Trump or anybody that claims that the election was stolen that has presented any real evidence to do so. You can't just have a recount just to have a recount. You have to have a recount if there's evidence.
You would do a recount no matter what.
No, there can't just be a recount no matter what. Recounts are extremely expensive. And just because somebody doesn't like the outcome of an election, we can't have recounts. Now, if there's evidence to prove that there could have been shenanigans, or in the case of Al Gore versus George W. Bush, where literally a presidential election is decided by hundreds of votes, then there could be a recount. But you can't just have a recount just because you don't like the outcome. I hear what you're saying, my friend. Lisa, thank you for a donation on the YouTube Super Chat. She says, get Pete Buttigieg on your show. I would love to get Pete Buttigieg on the show. That's one guy that I've never interviewed before that I would love to, and we will. The team will certainly be working on that. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. Hey, Julie, what's up?
Well, I was completely disgusted when I heard that Trump wore a blue suit. Honestly, I think it's him trying to pay back them for putting him in the seat near the bathroom. I don't know if you saw that on Facebook or not, but I saw somewhere on Facebook that they sat him near the bathroom.
I did not see that. Although I can tell you when I'm on an airplane, I don't like to be sitting near the bathroom. I can tell you that's a very uncomfortable feeling, so I can understand. I don't like it.
But also, there are prices rising at the store that I work at, Dollar General. I see them. The coffee's going up. Cookies are going up that are coming from Canada. I check. Whenever I see a price has gone up, I check on where it's been made at, so I can let you know that this stuff is going up.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we will continue to monitor it. But listen, let me tell you, when Donald Trump says that the price of gas is going down, when Donald Trump says the price of eggs is going down and inflation's going down, He is lying. Look at the statistics from day one. Okay, he is lying. And when you look at what the American consumer is having to pay for when you talk about these tariffs around the world, the American consumer, middle class, and those people that are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, are the ones that are struggling the most.
And I'm so sick and tired of MAGA giving excuses for him because he's just a liar. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. He makes me mad. Like every single time he decides to come out there and lie and try to deceive people and try to gaslight.
Well, you're right. I agree with you. You're 150% correct, my dear, and I appreciate the call. And for the idiot in the chat named Nerf, who I shouldn't call out, but I will, who called into this show last week and got embarrassed and used another name, you're welcome to call into the show and get embarrassed again. You're not putting me in check because you're an imbecile. Never have I ever said that Elon Musk meddled in the election. Never have I said that the Republicans cheated in the election, because unlike idiots like you, I accept the result even though I don't like it. But you're the moron who's in a chat who gets embarrassed when he calls into the show. So you could be a keyboard warrior and type in how much you're going to put me in check when you're invisible and you're a moron. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I love these idiots, some of these idiots in the chat who think they're really tough. Oh, Brian better not say that because I'm going to put Brian in check. You don't run the show. I'll say whatever the hell I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't want to listen to the show, go listen to another show, you clown. Let's go to Shelly. Shelly's next up on PTL. What's up, Shelly?
Hey, Brian. There's idiots on the chat. And you put them in check because they're too chicken to call in. But gas is not going down. Groceries are not going down. I just filled my car up, and it was more than $1 up here in West Virginia.
Yep.
And this disgusts me. Where they are deporting small children.
Yeah, that's true.
I am totally disgusted with that. How can people watch that and not be disgusted? Really?
Well,
I would like to know.
I don't understand, and thank you, Shelley. It's always good to hear from you.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I don't understand how we could be over 3 months into this administration and anybody could say Donald Trump is doing a good job. Now, I understand his poll numbers are under 40%. That's a good sign that maybe some people are waking up. But when you look at where this country's at right now, and when Tom Homan said his first priority would be to get violent criminals that are undocumented, he was lying. Because look at what took place over the weekend. They're literally going into areas and getting people that are nonviolent criminals that have been in this country for decades, that have families. They are splitting those families apart. And many of these people are not getting due process. But they don't care. Kim does write on the YouTube super chat, voter fraud efforts are being looked into. Greg Palast and other experts in voting systems, voter roll purges, bomb threats, 47 states. He has all the votes needed. Too much to ignore. Let's see. Well, Kim, I'm not saying you need to ignore it. All I'm saying is they need to come up with evidence that could prove there was widespread voter fraud that can change the outcome of the election. That's the only way it's going to be presented in front of a judge. That's the only point that I'm saying. And all I'm simply saying is I haven't seen it yet. So they can look into it. I have no problem with people looking into it. But at this stage, if they haven't found any sufficient evidence, then I think you need to put it in the back burner. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Beverly. Beverly is calling up next. Hi, Beverly. What's going on? Hi, Beverly. Beverly, are you there? Beverly. Have we lost Beverly? All right, let's move on to the next caller. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next up on PTL. Hey, Frank, what's up?
Hey, Brian. How are you doing?
Good.
I heard over the weekend, I don't know if you did, but 10 countries have stopped using the American dollar.
I have heard that. And also, I would tell you that tourism is way down. Vegas is suffering. We have a ghost town right now. There's always going to be people that are going to come to Vegas for vacation, but Vegas is suffering. There have been thousands of layoffs since Donald Trump implemented these tariffs. And this is going on throughout the country. It's just at a larger scale, around the country. But it's happening here in Vegas. I could speak from personal experience. I know people.
Did you know that 4 companies are shutting down and leaving the United States?
Yes. I agree with you.
John Deere, Case, Subaru, and Nissan. They're all going.
Well,
And
it's
I-
only going to get worse. I mean, eventually, I suppose Donald Trump eventually will cave, but he hasn't yet. He put this thing
No.
on a 90. Imagine if he didn't even do the 90-day pause, but we all know that was market manipulation. I mean, it's just every day is getting worse under the Trump administration. Every day is getting worse, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
And plus, I went down to the demonstration they had for the judge in Milwaukee, because I live here in Wisconsin. There was probably about 100, 150 people. They were angry, upset, and oh my God. So you can imagine some of the comments that they were talking about him. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm learning that there are some Republicans that are going to be continuing to do these town halls. It's not going very well for them. A lot of them are getting booed, and these are not Democrat activists, and this isn't Antifa. These are Republican constituents that are upset. Either they've lost their jobs or family members have lost their jobs. They are not happy. Some of these people are losing their businesses. They're losing their livelihood, and the people that are continuing to profit are people like Donald Trump with this crypto scandal. He's literally making hundreds of millions of dollars a week. I mean, it's sick, and people don't seem to understand that.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing. I feel real bad for your first caller that you had. My heart goes out to him.
Yeah, yes, I'm with you.
So,
I'm with you.
I felt so sorry for what he had to explain about his life and his family, and I really, truly, my heart goes out to him.
Yeah, my heart goes out to him too, my friend. I'm with you, sir, and I really do appreciate
Thank you.
It's good to hear from you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm with you as well. Anyone who served this country honorably, and yet they can't put food on the table, and these tariffs are destroying families. Yes, that's right. I'm going to call it out. There's no question about that. All right, number to call is 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Again, that's 702-221-7283. I think we lost Beverly earlier, so we're going to go back to Beverly right now. Hi, Beverly. What's up?
Hi, Brian. I was just calling. Everything that you have been talking about today is absolutely right. I don't think that any of his cabinet members are qualified, and even if they are, to support what he is doing is utterly un-American. And he wants his cabinet to do the things he wants done so that he can go back and blame them,
right?
And not take responsibility for the whole thing.
Right.
But if the people don't stop and call their senators and their congressmen and tell them that they need to, start the articles of impeachment or complete it or whatever, we're in for worse days than what we have seen these 100 days.
Oh, sure.
And he does not care about America.
No, he doesn't.
Only cares about himself.
Yeah.
And people need to wake up. They always talk about the woke. I'd rather be woke and paying attention to what he's doing, trying to do behind closed doors, so that I'm not surprised at anything that he does.
Well,
the only ones who are surprised at what he does is those who have been asleep.
Well, the public outcry is pretty strong right now. And it, at least in my personal opinion, it certainly appears to be escalating when you look at the poll numbers. And by the way, not just CNN or MSNBC poll numbers. We're talking about Fox News as well.
Right.
And there are a lot of Arizona voters. I saw a piece that I believe it was CNN that did it. I could be wrong on that, where they were interviewing some Arizona Republican voters. And they have a lot of, they seem to have a lot of reservations about Trump's first 100 days. But you see, here's the thing about so many of these idiots. If the elections were held again today after Trump was in office for 3 months, even with his approval numbers way down, they would probably still vote for Trump over Kamala because they're idiots, because they're bigots, because they don't want to vote for a woman of color, because they don't want to vote for a woman.
Exactly right.
Because they hate Democrats so much, they would rather people and their families suffer and, undocumented immigrants that have lived here for decades with no criminal violent crime record be deported. They're totally okay with Donald Trump defying the rule of law, defying the Supreme Court, defying judges, and they would still vote for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. You cannot get through to these people because they're just despicable people.
What's really sad is that there are more multiracial people in this country than is reported. And in my opinion, it doesn't make me right, but in my opinion, there should not have been one woman who voted for Donald Trump. I don't care what, political feeling they had because of his past background. And to put people in office that have the same type of history with women, that is ridiculous. And one other thing I want to say, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure that the governor of Arkansas, who was his first press secretary, is not too happy with the fact that he rejected them for help when he blamed President Biden for not helping North Carolina after Helene. And he's also rejected help for another state. So, in my opinion, they should be looking at him and saying, okay, you're cutting all of these programs, you're cutting all of this money, but you have no problem with giving the rich the tax breaks when they need to be paying taxes so that things could run smoothly. No, he's got his little circle, and he's content with making them happy.
Well, that's
but
certainly
Elon Musk is going to suffer as well.
Yeah,
they're all going to see karma.
I don't know how much Elon Musk is going to suffer from it. He's still the richest man in the world, but I do understand what you're saying. I think the people in the Elon Musk family that suffer are Musk's kids because he's a terrible father and just a despicable human being. On the YouTube Super Chat, Immortal says, hey, brother, can you look into getting the ladies from the I've Had It podcast? I've heard about them before, actually. I will reach out to them. He says they're amazing. It would be great to hear you interview them. Keep up the good work. Well, I'm going to make a note of that, and maybe there's a possibility we can get them on. I'm sure they wouldn't be opposed to coming on, and we'll give that a try. I've heard of that podcast before, and I've heard it's really good. Thank you for your donation, by the way, Immortal. We really do appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave, who's calling out of Ohio. Hey, Dave, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Good.
Hey, when you talk to your buddies and stuff like that, like with out there in Vegas about the layoffs and stuff, to ask them to talk up to their maintenance guys too, because I could tell you right now, I'm already seeing it out here. One thing that comes from China, people don't realize, and I'm sure you being in Vegas, when you guys hit the 103-degree day, one thing you guys need is AC. No, they're already starting to see a lot of contactors, capacitors, and everything that run air conditioners are already getting low. And that's what we're not even really hot yet.
Well, this is something, I hate to call it like a pandemic, but it is spreading throughout the country where it is affecting almost every single industry. Every single industry. We could be talking about an auto body shop. We could be talking about the restaurant business. Every single industry is feeling this. There are layoffs all over the country. It's why the unemployment rate is certainly higher now than it was on day one when Donald Trump took office. And it's going to continue in that direction until eventually Donald Trump caves. That's the bottom line here, right?
Absolutely. And one other thing, I know you had your little spiel about Saunders or Deion Sanders' kid getting in for the Browns. Everybody out here are like, why did we draft him anyways? We drafted a quarterback prior to that. I don't know if they just felt gullible, and my gut feeling is I think they're just going to use him as a trade.
How stupid! Can you imagine, with a straight face, Caroline the liar Levette, the fake Christian, the blonde bimbo that she is, that she was actually asked if Donald Trump had something to do with that pick, and she actually, with a straight face, said, well, I'll just refer you to Donald Trump's comments. I think they speak for themselves. These people are such idiots. They're so stupid. They're such idiots. And in case you missed it, this is Caroline Levette being asked and answering this question. You won't get a dumber moment, perhaps, in the White House than this one. Have a listen to this.
One more. After the president's Truth Social post, the Browns finally took Shadur Sanders. Does the president think he deserves credit for Sanders getting picked? And does he think going to the Browns is better than being undrafted?
Hey, all I will say is the president put out a statement, and a few rounds later he was drafted. So I think the facts speak for themselves on that one, Pierre.
Yeah. All I will say is that the president put out a statement, and the facts speak for themselves. What a stupid imbecile this woman is. What an ignoramus she is. And she is so pathetic. Her and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Sean Spicer and these are some of the worst people that America has to offer. And let me tell you something. If you ever see a white blonde wearing a cross, they'll immediately get a job either for Donald Trump or for Fox News. I mean, it's such a joke.
Absolutely, brother. And you know what, too, though? It could be, I'm surprised she didn't say anything about Watson because, Watson is such a great, probably great person, too. But that's a different story.
Well, remember, Donald, yeah, it is. Thank you for the call, sir. Remember, Donald Trump is the one who told these people who were taking a knee, he called them sons of bitches. And remember all these MAGA supporters that said, we're never going to watch the NFL again, and then their orange turd goes to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's such a joke. By the way, on taxpayer dollars, on our dime, $25 million, and then he leaves at halftime. What a joke. I refer to you to the president's statement. I think the facts speak for themselves. Oh, my God, this woman. You want to talk about despicable. What a despicable liar. 702. I'm glad the women that call into this show are much more intelligent than that moron, Caroline Levette. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hi, Terry.
Hey, Brian. Good afternoon. Just wanted to check in. I was in the grocery store today, and prices have definitely gone up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the orange orangutan needs to get his facts straight. Lastly, I don't know if you had an opportunity to check out the sit-in that was on the Capitol steps yesterday for several hours.
I did. I watched some clips of that. Yep.
And I didn't see anybody trying to, I don't know, get into the Capitol, try to do any disruption.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, I just, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. They didn't try to overthrow a free and fair election. They weren't beating police officers with their own batons. They weren't bear spraying cops. They weren't defecating on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I didn't see any destruction of property. And, let me tell you for a moment, my dear, how despicable the governor of Nevada is. I'm going to give you an example, okay? You tell me if you agree or not, okay? Stick with me here for a minute. So a few weeks ago, if you recall, there were a lot of peaceful protests throughout the country, those that are anti-Trump, right? We talked about this on the show, and actually people called into the show that went to some of these protests. There weren't any arrests. Nobody was injured. No destruction of property, right? So our despicable MAGA governor, Governor Joe Lombardo, he's just despicable. He had a private dinner with some donors, and he made the case that all these people don't care about the real issues in this country, and they were all being paid. He made that statement, right? Despicable. He's an imbecile, right? Well, guess what? The other day, a woman by the name of Michelle Fiore, she is a right-wing MAGA clown and an imbecile. She decided to get some people to donate some money because she wanted to put a statue up to pay for a fallen police officer who lost his life in the line of duty. Terrible story, right? Well, what makes this even more terrible is that she stole from everybody, including the governor of Nevada, Governor Joe Lombardo, who testified under oath that he was a victim. He donated to this charity. Donald Trump decided to pardon her. And I didn't hear anything from Governor Joe Lombardo. He didn't put out a statement disagreeing with it. He didn't say it was wrong. This is a guy who admitted that he was a victim. And they call themselves pro-police. And Joe Lombardo is the former sheriff of Clark County. He's a former cop. You would think that he would have defended the family who lost their loved one in the line of duty. But no, not Joe Lombardo, because he's a coward. That's what these MAGA... I can't say what I want to say on the air about Joe Lombardo because it's against FCC regulations. I had to stop myself there. Joe Lombardo is a piece of scum. He wants to attack people for peacefully protesting against the oligarchy, which is the Donald Trump regime. But yet, when his guy, Donald Trump, pardons the woman who you said you were the victim of, who stole from a police charity for a statue, complete silence because he's a coward. They call themselves pro-police. They're not pro-police. They're cowards, and they're despicable. And our governor of the state of Nevada is despicable. He's a despicable turd, and he will not come on this show. I have a lot of Republicans that do this show. Joe Lombardo will not come on this show because he's a coward, and he's an imbecile, and he's a disgrace to the state of Nevada. And I don't know who's going to run, but I've had these two people on the show, our former governor, Steve Sisolak, if he runs again, and Aaron Ford, who's a great attorney general and a man of color. They won't put up with it. And I just think Governor Joe Lombardo, like so many MAGA Republicans in this country, they're embarrassing. They have no backbone. They're cowards, and they will not stand up to Donald Trump in fear that they will lose power. It's disgusting, my dear. It's just absolutely disgusting.
I totally agree with you, and I hope in the next election cycle you get a good governor. I do.
I hope so, too. And that's why I say we all need to do what we can in the midterms to get these MAGA Republicans out of office because they're all despicable as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's call Dave. Let's go to Dave, who's calling out of New York. What's going on, Dave?
Hi, Brian. Thanks for talking.
Sure.
How you doing, by the way?
Doing all right, Dave. What's on your mind today, my friend?
All right. Well, there were two things, but the Nissan threat and Subaru threat is still, I guess, in the mix with all these tariffs, of threat of moving their companies out of the U.S. That help make Nissans and Subarus.
Yep.
But the other, well, actually three. Then there's the 39% latest approval rating for Trump. That's 6% down since February. And that shows some progress in thinking, I think, about what the American public is seeing happening with these tariffs and this idiot who is running our country, this Dr. Strangelove. And then the third thing is Hegseth.
Yep.
I don't know if have you brought up about the Germans arresting two spies yet? Or
I did see that. I haven't talked about that today, but I did see that.
Yeah, and they have Pete Hegseth's private phone number on their phones, both of them.
Why am I not surprised at this? And I don't know what Pete Hegseth needs to do. I mean, his own mother warned us about him. This man is an abuser of women. Okay. I believe he has sexually abused women before, allegedly, and there are women that have come forward, and then he signed them to NDAs. I personally believe that Pete Hegseth, his entire life is a lie. And I understand he served the country, and I don't crap on that, and I never will. But this is an unqualified man for this position. I wouldn't hire this man at McDonald's, let alone a job as being the Secretary of Defense and the second person with our nuclear codes. It's an embarrassment, and the fact that Donald Trump has kept him in there is beyond me. He's going to continue to F up. He's going to continue to do things that are going to harm, our brave men and women in uniform. He will continue to do so.
Yeah, he's dangerous. I mean, somebody like that in charge is a real clear and present danger to the United States, especially considering his drinking issues. Because people who drink and they get themselves into stressful situations where they have to make decisions and they start feeling that angst about it.
Yeah,
they drink. And
I thought he was
Lyndon Johnson drank a fifth of vodka a day.
I thought he was drunk on Easter Sunday when he was getting interviewed.
Absolutely.
I thought he was drunk.
My radar was out on that.
Yeah, I absolutely did. And maybe Donald Trump, perhaps, he says he doesn't drink, but I don't know. Maybe he's been drunk the last 9 years, because I think someone who's drunk would probably make better decisions for the most part than Donald Trump has made certainly in the last 3 months. I mean, the sad part about it is, this is an economic superpower. I think most people could agree, for the most part, the United States has been an economic superpower, and Donald Trump has found a way to destroy it in under 100 days. I mean, it's unfathomable, and the economy is continuing to worsen, and yet at the same time, there are still way too many people in this country that support him, that think he's doing a good job. What are they watching? Are they watching Newsmax every day? I don't know.
The 39% is the lowest rating since Franklin Roosevelt's third term.
It's been 7 decades, and the 90-day, I think it was like 42 or 43%, and it was the lowest in American history. So it ain't going to get any better, my friend. It's going to get into the 20s. It wouldn't surprise me in a few months. That's how bad it is in this country right now. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. What's up, Paul?
What's going on, man? Hey, I'm going to share a personal story. So I have one of my cousins from mom.
Yeah.
When she was younger, they did an exchange student with somebody in Germany. And now that young lady is an adult and she has daughters. And they wanted her daughter to experience the same thing. But because of what's happening in the United States, her mom is afraid to send her here. So he's actually sending her to BC, Canada. Now, my friend is she's up in the Seattle area, but she's even though I'm going there with my daughter to get her settled in, she's not even going to fly to the United States to go see her. That's how afraid she is. of coming to the U.S. because the United States has already detained tours from Germany.
That's just awful.
That's really sad.
It's beyond
That's how
sad.
people are viewing the United States as a risk.
It's beyond sad, and there's a lot of people. And again, Donald Trump was asked about this because tourism's way down, and he was asked last week. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but he was asked last week on his thoughts on the numbers way down, and he's like, "Oh, well, that happens. That happens." He said the same thing he said after another school shooting. Well, that happens. That's his response to all this.
Racism is expensive. If we're to learn anything from this, Brian, that's what it was. They're going to take the dumbest guy that wears diapers and makeup because he's a white guy than the most intelligent black woman. That's exactly why we're here.
Yep, and he's gonna
I wish
blame.
it was more complicated, Brian. It's just not.
Yeah, well, he's gonna blame everything on Joe Biden or Barack Obama. He's gonna blame it on George Soros and Pete Buttigieg and the radical Democrats. He will never take ownership and responsibility for so many of his shortcomings. And unfortunately, that's where we're at as a country.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
You may not have the answer. What do you think about David Hogg going in and primarying these quote-unquote veteran Democrats that they don't feel are doing anything? What do you think about that?
Don't have a problem with it at all. I like David Hogg. He's a very smart young man. I like what he stands for, and I agree. I mean, Chuck Schumer is such a joke. Did you see what he said last week in regards to policy? He said, well, we sent him a really strong letter. Yeah, I'm sure that'll really work. Chuck Schumer sent Donald Trump a letter. Chuck Schumer is weak. Now, there are some Democrats in office that I am not very fond of, but the number one person that I think should step down right now is Chuck Schumer. I believe he's an embarrassment to the Democrat Party. I believe he's an embarrassment to the country. He is weak, and I am sick of him. Get him out of there and get younger people in office. I am sick of listening to Chuck Schumer, who is useless at this point. He is useless.
He is. And Nancy Pelosi, too.
I'm going to put Nancy. I don't dislike Nancy Pelosi as much as Chuck Schumer, but I am also with you. Get rid of Nancy Pelosi. Get rid of Chuck Schumer. And I think we need younger Democrats in there.
If you want to interview somebody interesting, there is actually a Democrat running against Nancy Pelosi, a brand new guy. If you want his name, I'll send it over to you. But he might be an interesting interview.
I think I heard him, and people got to get Nancy Pelosi out of there. I've had enough of her and Chuck Schumer. The weak duo of Schumer and Pelosi got to go. We got to get younger people in there that are stronger. I mean, haven't we learned at this point that what they're doing is not working? My goodness.
It's not.
Yeah, it is.
All right, bud.
Paul, thank you. Appreciate the call, my friend. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to John. John is next up on PTL. Hey, John, what's up?
Hi, Brian.
What's up, John? What's on your mind?
Well, I'd just like to say good luck to Canada as it's election day. And I hope they elect Pierre Poilievre to make Canada great again. We need to forge strong relations with Canada. And I think it would be great if they became our 51st state.
Okay, so let's talk about that, John. Why do you think Canada should be the 51st state?
Because we're funding them. We're
funding. How are we funding Canada? John,
we're constantly receiving their goods.
John,
and we're not receiving anything in return.
John, we receive goods from countries all over the world. Can you please tell me how we're funding Canada?
Because we're giving them too much money. They need to become our state.
What money are we giving them? What money are we giving them? Please be specific. What money are we giving Canada to quote unquote fund them?
We're buying all their goods.
We buy goods.
Billions.
We buy goods from every country around the world. Does that mean we're funding the world? We're not, John. So
yes,
no, John, we're not.
President Trump
John, we're not funding the world. That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. We're not funding Canada. John, what has Donald Trump done in the first 3 months that you really like?
Immigration.
What about immigration? Tell me.
He's getting all the criminal aliens out of here.
He's getting all the criminal aliens out of here. Okay, John. So are you okay with going into churches and synagogues and getting deporting a bunch of nonviolent criminals? Are you okay with people getting deported to El Salvador with no due process that have never committed a crime and have no criminal records? Some of whom might not even
due process. He committed
no,
domestic
not true.
violence against
Do you
his
understand?
wife.
Do you understand what the Constitution? What did you just say? What did he do?
He committed domestic violence against his wife.
Where was he convicted on that? What was he convicted of?
There's a report.
No. I didn't ask you if there was a report that you were a child molester. Does that mean you're a child molester? I mean, you might be. I don't know. You see, John,
It was
John,
an ex.
John,
I saw it. Benny Johnson.
John. I don't care what Benny Johnson also got paid $400,000 a month, paid by the Kremlin. Did you know that, John? I'm happy to educate. Yeah, no, it wasn't fake news because he admitted he got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. That wasn't fake news. What's fake news is what you are saying. So I'm asking you the same question again. You see, in this country, in order to be a woman abuser, okay, you have to be convicted of something. So I'm asking you a very direct question. What was he convicted of? Can you please tell me what were the charges and what was he convicted of?
His wife directly.
No. Just because. So, John, because somebody gets accused of something, does that mean they did it? So if somebody in your family or a friend accused you of child molestation, does that mean you did it? John, I need you to pay attention to my question. I'm going to speak very slowly and distinctly. And if you don't know the answer, then you can tell me. That's okay. John, what was Mr. Garcia charged with, and what was he convicted of? Please answer the question, sir.
He had a PFA out against
No, didn't ask you about a PSA. I'm going to ask it now for a 5th time. Why is it with you MAGA deplorables I have to ask the same question 10 times? But that's okay, John. I'm going to be very patient and calm with you. John, when I ask you the same question 5 times and you can't answer it, it makes you sound stupid. Now, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, John. Maybe you're not stupid. Maybe you're just ill-informed. But I'm going to ask it now for the 6th time, okay? This is the 6th time. You just said Mr. Garcia abused women. I'm now asking you for the 6th time. What was he charged with and what was he convicted of? Was he found guilty of any crimes, John? Please answer.
Domestic violence.
He was found guilty of domestic violence? No, John. The reason why I asked that question, John, 6 times and you never gave me the correct answer because you're ill-informed, and I'm trying to be very nice about this. So, John, Mr. Garcia was never convicted of any violent crime. What you're saying has not been proven in a court of law. So now we can move on to something else, John. Are you okay with someone being deported to one of the highest maximum security prisons in the world on a hunch with no criminal record? Are you okay with that?
They deported him to his home country of El
No.
Salvador.
That wasn't the question.
repatriated him.
Sir, that wasn't the question. I need you to pay attention. The question wasn't, are you okay with him being deported to his home country? That wasn't the question. I need you to focus. Listen to my question, John, okay? Are you okay with someone with no violent criminal record at all deported to one of the highest maximum security prisons in the world, and the Supreme Court ruling voting 9-0 that he needs to be sent back, and Donald Trump defying the Supreme Court? Are you okay with that? Yes or no?
He didn't defy the Supreme Court.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. What did the Supreme Court rule?
They said they needed to facilitate, not he must bring back.
Okay, so what does facilitate mean?
Bring about.
Bring about, right? So how is Donald Trump bring it about, for lack of a better term? What has he done?
He asked
No, he didn't.
Kelly.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he
and
didn't.
He said no.
No, he didn't.
And he can't really do much about that.
First of all, he didn't ask Bukele to send him back. That is not true. Number 2, he didn't even. First of all, you're wrong. Guess what? Bukele, and I talked about this on the show. Another example of you have no idea what you're talking about. Donald Trump was asked about this over the weekend, and Bukele. He was asked, and Trump said he did not ask Bukele. So what you're saying is 100% wrong. In fact, Trump said that over the weekend. So now that we've made it clear that you don't know what you're talking about, other than immigration, are you happy with the fact that Donald Trump pardoned a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers? Are you okay with people who beat cops getting full pardons, sir?
Not all of the J6 hostages.
Didn't say all of them. Didn't say that. I need you to again pay attention to my question, because once again you're not paying attention. I didn't say all of them. Some of those on January 6th beat cops. They pled guilty. Donald Trump pardoned some of those people. So it's a very direct, specific question. Are you okay with the pardons of some of those who beat police officers on January 6th and pled guilty? Are you okay with those pardons?
Are you okay with the pardons?
No. You don't answer a question with a question. I'll answer your question when you answer mine. Answer mine first, okay, dummy?
The gain of function.
We're not talking about Dr. Fauci. I'm going to hang up on you unless you answer my question.
You want to silence?
I don't want to silence you. I want you to answer my question, dumbass. Okay? Then I'll answer your stupid Dr. Fauci question. That is what we call a pivot, okay, MAGA deplorable? That's what we call a pivot. You answer my question, and then I will answer yours, right? Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask the question, you answer it, and then you ask me a question. That's how a discussion works, okay, dumbass?
Okay, ask away.
Okay, I am.
Away.
I have to repeat it 10 times because you're an idiot, but I'll repeat it again. Are you okay with Donald Trump pardoning specifically those who beat cops on January 6th, some of whom pled guilty? Are you okay with those pardons?
They've already served their time.
No, they didn't. Some of them were, no, you're wrong again. Some of them were sentenced to over 5 years and 10 years. So again, you're wrong. They did not serve their time. So I'm going to ask the same question again, Mr. Misinformation Crap for Brains, okay? Are you okay with some of those on January 6th that were pardoned, some of whom beat cops who did not serve their full sentences? If they served their full sentences, they wouldn't have been in jail, you idiot. Answer my question, and then I will answer yours. Boy, you are just really crap for brains. Get off my show. Get off my show, you dumbass. You're a waste of my time, you idiot. They already served their time. Let's talk about Dr. Fauci, you frickin' imbecile. When Hillary Clinton called people like you deplorables, she specifically was talking about you. You inbred MAGA moron. Get off my show, you crap for brains idiot. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. What a complete idiot. I wasted 6 minutes of my life with that moron. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's base. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next up on PTL. What's up, Kathy?
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
What's going on, Kathy?
Okay. Some sad news, but also some interesting news. Representative Jerry Connolly has now announced that he will be stepping down the House Chair Oversight Committee because his cancer has returned. And if you remember, this is the seat that AOC was trying to get, but she was defeated because the Democrats wanted to stick with the seniority system. So we're beginning to see now older congressional and Senate members that are leaving the Senate and the House because of illness and what have you. So I'm just wondering, do you think that Alexandra will go for that seat again? Because it is one of the most powerful committees in Congress.
I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I will tell you. I'm sorry to hear about the cancer, and I don't wish that upon anybody. I will tell you that Democrats strategically need to do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a wonderful lady and a hero. However, God rest her soul, she should have stepped down, and she didn't do that. And because of that, we all suffered for it. Now, she was a wonderful woman. I wish her family the best. She made a big mistake. Democrats got to stop making big mistakes. Joe Biden should have stepped down much earlier than he did. Democrats cannot make the same mistake over and over again. Ruth Bader Ginsburg did, okay? Joe Biden did. Chuck Schumer's doing it right now. Step down and let younger people in office that can lead the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer is an embarrassment. Step down already and get the hell out of the way. That's the best way I can answer that question.
Oh, my God. Can you see AOC on that committee? Oh, my goodness.
She would
be phenomenal.
You are correct, my dear. She would be phenomenal, and I would totally endorse that, and I'm with you. 702-221-7283. We have to go to John. John is next up on PTL. Hello, John.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, man?
First, I want to apologize for the other John that called and never met the most stupid, robotic sounding fool in my life. So I'm apologizing for all the other Johns out there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Second thing, I saw Chuck Schumer, I think it was on State of the Union this weekend with Dana Bash. And she kind of pretty much asked him the same thing, like if he was, when is his time to step down, or something to that effect. And he was telling her, some story. He was trying to avoid the question. He was telling her that he's there to mentor the younger ones that's coming in.
Yeah.
And try to whatever. And then she pressed him with a question again, and he said he's not stepping down. So that's your answer right there. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. You know, these 2028 MAGA hats. You know, I'll give Bill Maher credit for one thing. I'm not a big Bill Maher fan these days, but Bill was right when he said Donald Trump's not going to want to leave the White House. He won't leave, and people laughed at him, but Bill Maher was correct. He was right.
Yeah, and that's true. These are the Democrats sounding the same way, too. I actually hope that young guy, Hogg, I wish him the best. He's doing the right thing. No matter what anybody say, it's time for change, a big change.
Well, David Hogg, what he and his classmates had to go through, it's interesting because I was just talking to Fred Gutenberg this morning, who lost his daughter in the Parkland shooting. And I was talking to Fred, and, you know, Fred's not doing any interviews right now because he wants to spend more time with his family, which I totally understand. And we were having a pleasant conversation I think Fred is just such a wonderful man. and my heart breaks for his family after losing his daughter in that shooting. And David Hogg is a guy, obviously very intelligent, a very intelligent young man, and I agree with everything David Hogg says for the most part.
Yeah, I like him too.
I've never heard anything David Hogg has said, and I've said, oh man, I really disagree with that. I think he's a very bright young man, and I agree. Let's get these older Democrats out of office and bring some younger faces in there. It's not working. We have a 34 count felon and we have an adjudicated rapist who's the president of the United States, and yet the Democrats should just keep doing what they're doing. I mean, it's just I don't understand. We got Donald Trump, who was elected back into office. Don't you think maybe the Democrats should try something a little bit different? It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, one more thing, just to line up your blood pressure a little bit, because we love you. We don't want to lose you.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to Numch.
Yes, Numchuck's a great producer, and he's doing a great job, my friend. I appreciate your call, my friend. It's good to hear from you. Thank you so much for the phone call. You have a good rest of your day. Okay. All right, thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Who should we go to next? Should we go to Victor? Let's go to Victor. Victor's next on PTL. Hello, Victor.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. How you doing? Thanks for allowing me to say what I have to say, especially particularly today.
Okay.
And you're probably going to be agree with me on this one.
Okay.
Listen, I am sick and tired saying this over and over and over. Stop saying that the AOC is not ready to run as president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I am sick and tired. When these people are going to be ready? Can somebody please explain me that, black and white?
Well, let me ask you, why do you think AOC is not ready to run for president? What are your reasons? I have a few reasons of my own, but I want to hear yours first. Go ahead.
No, look, AOC, it brings so much energy, call it for what it is, which is this is what Donald Trump has been doing. My child said
different energy. It's a different energy, though. I mean, you can't compare the two.
Well, but the thing is, you look. Joe Biden said, "Please take the gloves off and stop to fight back the way you're supposed to do it. Stop the BS."
Okay, but hold on. You're saying AOC, but you're saying AOC's not ready, right? Do I have you right? That's what you said.
No. I'm saying no. It's not that I'm saying it.
Yeah.
I hear this from Democrats over and over.
Okay.
I'm saying AOC is ready.
Okay, I got you. I'm sorry, Victor. I misunderstood. Okay, Victor.
No. I'm saying AOC is ready.
Okay, but Victor, hear me out.
Is listen to this knuckleheads
I understood.
on the Democrat side saying, "Oh no, she's still not ready."
I never
Hell
said.
no,
Okay,
she's
so
ready.
Victor, here's where we might disagree a little bit. I never said she's not ready. I think she's a very capable, intelligent lady who's willing to drop the gloves. The problem is women are 0-2 against Donald Trump. Now, listen, I have no problem with a woman becoming the president of the United States. I've been very clear on that. However, the reality of the situation is Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump, and women are 0-2. The problem is I'm not sure the country is ready. Now, I'm one of those people. I have no problem with AOC. But I think the Democrats would be more strategic in allowing her maybe to be run as a vice president like Kamala Harris did and put a man in there. It's not because I'm misogynist. It's not because I don't want a woman to be president. If Michelle Obama ran for president tomorrow and she made the announcement, I would be all in 100%. But the problem, I just don't think AOC, like Kamala Harris, and all the power to them, I just don't think America's ready for a female president because it hasn't worked twice against Donald Trump.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, my problem with Democrats is they don't push back as the Republican does. Just you if you turn foul propaganda news, my goodness, they defend the undefensible and they believe it to themselves.
Yeah.
Democrats don't even push back.
I agree with you.
You're supposed to push back.
Victor,
You're supposed to slap it in their faces.
Victor, I don't disagree with you. It's not that we disagree. All I'm simply saying is women are 0-2 against Donald Trump, and that's something that they have to take into account. Thank you, Kevin, for your donation. The only time I'll ever thank the orange orangutan, he says, is you single-handedly elected the next liberal Canadian prime minister. Bravo. Kevin, I agree with you. Thank you for your support. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next up on PTL. Hey, Carl, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Barry?
Good.
Listen, something great about one of your favorite people in the world that you love.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Three-toe.
Unfortunately, she's both mentally and psychologically impaired.
She is.
But did you hear what she said the other after the Pope had died?
What'd she
made
say?
last her
What'd she say?
on a speech she made. She said about the Pope, "Evil is now gone, good is back." Can you believe this?
I remember she said that in regards to the Pope. Let's be very clear. The evil of these MAGA Republicans, like the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, Carl, you're absolutely right. All right, Dave, let's go to Dave, who's calling in next. Hey, Dave, what's up?
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. I've been wanting to get a hold of you for a long time.
Well, thank you for
Man,
calling in.
these people, yeah. Man, these people, the way you articulate your words on these people, it's priceless.
Well, thank you.
I mean, you can't fix stupid.
You can't, unfortunately. I wish you could, but you can't.
But, man, I love watching you, man.
Well, thank you. I
Because,
appreciate
you
that.
know, I lost my family and my friends over this moron.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, all we can do, my friend, is love them, try to speak to them, and if they're too brainwashed and they're gone, it's not our fault, and there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's true, man.
Speak truth to power, Dave, and I'm sorry about that. At the same time, you know, maybe there's a situation where you can speak to your family and just don't ever bring up politics. That could be very difficult to do because our families, we talk about money, we talk about healthcare, we talk about all the things that are important to us. So that makes it very difficult, Dave. But, you know, my advice to you would be just to hang in there, man, and be on the right side of history because history is going to prove you right and them wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, Dave, it's good to hear
All right,
from you,
man.
my friend. Thank you for the phone call. It's the show of Daves. Let's go to David now. David, we've had like 8 Daves calling today. How about that? What's up, David?
Well, now, I'm Dawood or Divad, but
Divad.
not David.
Okay, fair enough, Divad. What's going on?
Well, I was actually to follow up on just what you were talking about. I've heard Ralph Nader, and in looking in history books at the American Revolution 250 years ago, they said that somewhere around 7.5% of the population got involved in the Revolutionary War. 93% didn't touch it at all. They stayed away from it. Ralph Nader has been more generous, and he says that it's something like 15%.
Yeah.
But in the reality, most people don't want to get involved, and they think going after the big boss man, they're going to get whacked themselves. So they just
Well,
stay
it's a
quiet and let
mafia.
it happen.
Dave, it's a mafia mentality, right? We're up against the end of the show here, Dave. It's a mafia mentality. Donald Trump is a wannabe Tony Soprano, and he is running a dictatorship and an oligarchy. Let's go to Ron. Ron is next up on PTL. Hey, Ron, thanks for calling in. Ron, go right ahead. Ron, are you there?
I'm here, right here.
Go ahead, Ron.
Hello.
Hello. What's up, Ron?
Yeah, you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'm missing along the way here with shows in the last week. We're not back to the Doge people who've collected all our names, all our taxpayer, businesses, personal, and everything. They put it away. Where is it? Who are they? And how are they going to intimidate us down the line individually as when they want something without due course of events, without due process or influence?
I find that a very good question, and don't you find it very interesting that all of a sudden Elon Musk has walked away? What are they doing with all that information? I think that's a very fair question.
And that where, in whose pocket will it be in, and who benefits from it? That information is in the hands of people we don't even have the faces or full names of those individuals. Why don't we?
It's in the hands of people that call themselves big balls that are 20 years old and are open bigots and racists. That's the problem. It wouldn't be a show without closing it out with the MAGA Destroyer. I think we should have her call in at the end of the show, every show. Darlene, the MAGA Destroyer. Darlene, what's up, darling? How you doing?
Brian, I'm fine, but I want everybody out there to know my husband's name is John, but he wasn't the nitwit that was talking to Brian a while ago. My advice to you, John, if you're listening still, you need to watch Brian every day and start learning because you are dumb. You know nothing about it. And I'm telling the truth.
Oh, you definitely are. He was dumb as a doornail. I tried, but I try to be patient with these people. I asked the same question 5 or 6 times, and they're just, why won't they just say, I don't know? Now, you can still be stupid and say that, but at least you're honest, and I'll have some respect for you,
Exactly.
Apparently, we're funding Canada, so they should be the 51st state, and we're funding every country in the world. So why don't we just make it the United States of the world then, going by his logic? That's what he said. That's what he said.
I know. Well, John, you need to learn because you are so misinformed.
He is.
And one more thing, I want to say a message to David. Cheer up because I lost my girlfriend from high school and tons of friends over him too. And I know it hurts, but we'll make it.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to stick together.
We're going to get through it together, Darlene, thanks to people like you. And it's good to hear from you. Thank you to Antonio on the YouTube Super Chat who said, get Cabu or Leisha Miller on the show. Well, you know what? I do listen to you guys, and we will certainly work on that as well. And, we work hard to get guests on this show every day. By the way, speaking of guests, thanks to Donald Trump for joining us in the first segment, also known as John DiDomenico, world's best Donald Trump impersonator. Thank you, Shelley, for your donation. Brian, I'm hearing wedding bells in your future or an engagement. Please tell me. No, there's no engagement and no wedding in the near future. No love life talk to speak of right now. Maybe down the road we'll do that. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been another great show. I believe, do we have it confirmed? Wajahat Ali, who is a great contributor. You've seen him on CNN and MSNBC. He's a friend of the show. I believe he's going to be joining us tomorrow. We have JoJo from Jers, Joanna Carducci, who's going to be joining us later on in the week, and some other very, very special guests. If you missed anything, the great thing is you could just go on my YouTube page, which we are getting ready to crack 100,000. I can't wait to show my little gold YouTube button. So please subscribe to my YouTube page if you haven't at PTL Radio Show. And donations accepted at pushingthelimits.live. $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford, we appreciate it because we're an independently owned radio show. So we rely on people like you to keep the lights on. Pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations. Thank you to everybody in the YouTube Super Chat. Love you guys at PTL Nation. We'll be back at it tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road.